They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the show. Man, we got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about, depending on how much everybody wants to talk about it. But the beautiful 2.0 and 1.4 firmware updates for the Z6 II and 7, or Z6, Z6 II, Z6 7, the 1.4, and the Z9, the 2.0 firmware update. So I'm going to start out, already in use, can't get in. I have no idea, Jeffrey. I guess you've closed it out completely and then tried to come back in. That's the only thing I know to do. I have no idea why it's not working. But anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. And Nikon has done it. They have dropped the firmware updates. Here we go. Mr. Jeffrey's going to join us here. So the firmware updates are out. I know a lot of people are waiting. They're going to wait and see if there are any bugs, glitches, this, that, whatever. However, me being a beta tester, meaning I buy cameras sight unseen. If it's something I know I'm going to want, I do it. And I updated the firmware on both my Z6 II and Z9 last night. We got a blank screen for Mr. Jeffrey. He is dealing with a new computer. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. So I updated both cameras last night. I haven't had a chance to even play with them yet to see what the updates have done. For the Z6 II, really interested in the 1.4 update on that, just to see if it was really going to make any improvements in the AF, and haven't had a chance to test that either. So if you have updated your Z6 II, Z7 II, or Z9, drop it in the comments and or in the chat. If you have not and you're waiting, by all means, share with us why you're waiting. And for those that did update and you want to talk about it, I will I have the chat line open. And you're more than welcome to call in and talk about what you've noticed already if you've had a chance to get out there and shoot with the new update. So Roy, let's see, we got Roy and Jeffrey's trying to get into the show. Ray, how you doing, Ray? I think there were some others I saw waiting that were waiting. Charles, I see you over here. Tay Keys, he's in the house tonight or today. So welcome everybody. I have no idea. Hang on a second, folks. There you are, Jeffrey.
Hey.
There you are, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey, alive and well.
Look at there. Even put something in the background for us.
Look at that. That is for you, Chuck.
All right, brother. I'm happy to see that, man. Happy to see that.
Looks a little more professional for an unprofessional.
There you go. There you go. Hey, we're all hobbyists, or some may want to call themselves pros, and maybe they are. That's fine too.
And I'm wearing my Corvette shirt.
Cool.
For Simon.
All right.
Okay.
Did everybody get
Simon?
Yeah.
Simon, this is a message for you. Do it.
Do it, buddy.
Go and get the Corvette, Simon.
Yes. Don't let the guilt get the best of you. So Roy, I haven't tested the Z9 upgrades, but I've just been using the camera as usual without noticing any difference. Okay. On your Z9. All right. Mozman, updated Z9. Haven't bothered to update my Z6 II yet. And Tay Keys is great, folks. All right. All right. So, how many people watched the Vahography talk last night? Number 27 with Simon from Ordinary Filmmaker. What a great guy. You know, you get to meet him personally. And everybody's a little different off camera, or not off camera, but when they're not producing their content. But I've been following him for a little while, and I love the news that he puts out. I hope you guys feel the same way.
Oh, he knows his stuff. He's very good with video. He knows his stuff, and he's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key, is he is fair. And, you know, how many people out there are genuine? We watch all these YouTubers, but we never get to see them in a one-on-one setting where you can just sit and talk to them and get a feel for their true personality. For those that do come on shows and do live streams and show up, I think it's great. It should add to their credibility in their channel. And I feel that way certainly with Simon after last night. Vahography put on a great show, always does, always great. And I'm still confused here, Jeffrey. I know I'm like a child looking at a shiny object, but you're
That's
in
my head.
I can't see you over in my there's it's kind of like a green room here on Restream. You can see the folks that are coming into to join the show. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We can see you on screen, so that works.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it just says in the corner, it says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. That's all it says.
Yep. Well, it's working. That's a good thing. Let's see. Let's catch up on some comments real quick. Roy watched it. Great. That being Vahography talk last night. Hank says Z9 locked and loaded. Todd, hi everyone. Exciting day for Z9 shooters and a little less exciting for the Z62, Z72 shooters. Does that mean that you've actually tried, or you have a Z6 or a Z72 and you uploaded the firmware and tried it and it's not as big a deal, or you just commenting on the fact that the firmware update for those cameras was a bit smaller? There you go. Gustavo's got a question for you.
Yeah, I am on the studio using the studio's display camera, correct, which theoretically is a wider angle of view. I know when I'm looking at myself on the screen, I do see more of the room than I did before.
Yeah.
So I don't know, hopefully it looks okay.
It does look good. It does look good. Let's see. Hank, Vahagan is rolling great 4K videos and still his birding needs work. Yeah, I had a conversation with him after he dropped his video, and he and Mozman were out shooting the surfers and the birds. While he enjoyed the birds, he says that's really not a niche that he's going to jump into. He kind of enjoyed it, but far more enjoyed shooting the surfers. And I understand that. You shoot action, it's just so much more fun. All right. So, jumping into the 2.0 firmware update. Gustavo, there you go.
Thank Jeffrey. You. Glad there's an improvement. I hope so. I hope the money was well spent.
Yeah, well, it's for the performance, I think, more so than live streaming, but that's an expensive live streaming rig you got there.
Yes, it is.
All right. So anybody has played with the camera, with the updates, and wants to jump in and call, the number's up on the screen. And, there's just too much as we go through this and start talking about it, there's just a lot to type. So anybody wants to call in and talk about their experience with it so far, or explain why they aren't ready to install the firmware update, that would be great. So Jeffrey, why haven't you installed the firmware updates yet? We're not going to beat you up, but just curious.
No, I just thought I'd wait till the weekend, give it a couple of days, see what people think of it. I mean, obviously for what I'm doing now, I mean, the camera as it was working great, so it's going to work a little bit better. The extra autofocus points, customizing them will help out with birding. Believe it or not, I mean, I know Nikon shows the example of getting people jumping over, doing track and field and stuff like that, and jumping over hurdles. But a nice vertical, thin vertical area would be great when you're shooting birds in a vertical orientation. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It would be really nice.
Yeah. The only thing I did last night after I did the update, I had to at least look at the camera and see, okay, did I brick it, or, is it going to work? And lo and behold, everything went fine. I did experiment sitting here in front of the desk with the adjustable focus area. And I only played with one. I think it comes in C1, C2, customizable 1 and 2. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I played with it for a minute and thought, wow, that's pretty neat. It's pretty simple to actually use. And so I'm curious too, to get it out and actually shoot with it. I want to say hello to Bob R. Photos. Welcome to the show. I assume that you're a friend of Mr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, he's my partner in crime. We go out and shoot together at least twice a week.
Great. Man,
he has his own YouTube videos out there, so look him up and enjoy them.
You're going to have to throw a link in there, Bob, to your channel. A lot of people have to go check it out. Let's see. Todd, I've uploaded the firmware on the Z6 II. Haven't had a chance to test other than following the dog around in the backyard, but so far it's a wow moment. Hey, that's good to hear, man. Glad to hear that. Again, I haven't had a chance to fool with it either, but I was going to go take some photos of my cat, but I mean, that's kind of cheating because he just lays there and looks at me.
Chuck, he's too big of an object. It's easy to lock onto him.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I could put people eye autofocus on for him. Viewfinder doesn't look much different. Okay, thanks, Roy. I haven't even, well, it was late last night. It was after the show with Simon. And I just downloaded the firmware, updated the camera, and didn't get to play with much, but I didn't even think to try the viewfinder. That's interesting. I thought the viewfinder was fine the way it was, but maybe it is a bit better with the 120 frames per second refresh. I'm curious to see what it's going to do to the battery, because that was one of the things that Nikon brought up. But the more you have running in the camera, obviously, the more battery life it's going to eat. So
I'm looking forward to seeing the somewhat non-descriptive improvements to the 3D tracking. I mean, there was the implication with some changes to the Z6 II and Z7 II firmware to get it to not get switched to backgrounds as much. So right. I'm hoping that is something that happens with the 3D tracking, because that is something that's a pain when it bird flies and the trees are behind it all of a sudden, and then it decides it wants to lock onto the trees that don't look like a bird. So I think they probably fixed that. I'm looking forward to really trying that out and seeing how much better it is. Like I said, Richie was going to do a new video just on that feature alone.
Yeah, I'm curious too, Jeffrey, because I was having some trouble with the birds that are in the bushes or brush or whatever, trying to get it to lock onto the bird. But again, these are small birds, so maybe this is a fix for that, or to help that out.
Yeah,
Albert, sorry, didn't mention you. Welcome to the show. So many new features on the firmware update, the Z9, it will take a while to figure them all out. Yeah, Todd, I agree with you. It took me a while to even begin to comprehend all the focus settings and everything else before the firmware. So now I've got more things to learn with this camera. Richie just put out a nice video on the 2.0 firmware update. Good. I haven't seen that. I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Hank, for that. Roy says Z cameras have great viewfinders anyway. Yeah, I agree. I haven't had any complaints about it. Gustavo asking Mozman about 3D tracking. Hank says the 120 frames per 120 frames per second is great for panning fast-moving objects, 3D on yardbirds. Let's see. No noticeable background issues. Tried far to near AF, popped right back. Great.
Oh,
That's good to hear.
that's going to be a game changer there if they tweaked it like that.
Yeah, Charles, you're right. And again, like I said a while back, I have a friend that has, or he's an acquaintance, has an A1, and he said I was asking a lot of any camera in that situation, small birds in brush. And that's absolutely true. All right, man. All right. So I just wanted to talk about the updates for a few minutes. Just so you guys know, Jeffrey has the 24 to 120. I'm not going to steal any of his thunder here. He's taking some photos, and he's going to share his first thoughts with us here in a little bit and take us through some photos and tell us what he thinks of the new 24 to 120. So we get a real review or a mini review, or at least the first look from somebody we trust. Not that we don't trust all the YouTubers.
I wouldn't trust me. You trust this face? You trust this face?
Yeah. Yeah, Hank. One of the things I did notice was shooting with the 1 to 400, especially when I had the 2.0X, the teleconverter on there. It did help when the birds more fill the frame. Absolutely. But now I have the issue of F11, and I guess, any camera is going to struggle at F11 for snappy, quick AF. It wasn't terrible, but I definitely noticed a difference between 5.6 and F11 when it comes to AF, even with the Z9. I remember a while back trying with my D5, doing the same thing, and the D5 with the 1.7 teleconverter on the 402.8, which gave me an f8 aperture setting. And the D5, it would hold its own with that combination, but I noticed that the AF was significantly slower. So the smaller the aperture, the more degradation there seems to be on all cameras with AF. I guess that's a well-known fact. It shouldn't surprise anybody, but just wanted you to know, even with the Z9 at F11, I'm not going to say it struggles compared to F5 or F5.6 or F2.8. Yeah, it does. It would appear to struggle, but it does lock on and work. So, yeah, the 24 to 120 seems to be somewhat available. Yep, you're absolutely right, Mozman. And I've seen a bunch of camera stores that I follow talk about that. It is available, but then when you go look at their stock, it's out of stock. I guess that means, though, that those lenses are shipping a little quicker now. So I don't know who has it in stock right now. But I don't think it's going to take long to get one if anybody's looking for that 24 to 120. Long zooms are going to be slower than fast primes. You're absolutely right, Hank. And again, we're asking a lot, or I'm asking a lot from the camera, and I shouldn't be disappointed when it doesn't work as well at those apertures and with long zooms. Let me see. I check my mail here real quick because I got another indicator. Just make sure nobody else is locked out and can't get in here. Nope, we're good to go, I think, right now. All right, back to the show. All right. Jeffrey, I sent you the buttons list, and I noticed you replied and said that you downloaded it. I have to find a way to get that to the crew for anybody that has a Z9. There is a list of buttons that are customizable, and where you can actually use them and all the many buttons on the Z9. It's pretty extensive, but if you have any questions about what you can customize, what buttons you can customize with what features, at least it lists them. And it is a laundry list. So I don't know. Is you think that maybe, well, I guess it is an update. And that was part of the email, was that Nikon waited to post that until after the firmware update so that they could map all the buttons with all the new features as well. But it's pretty interesting. I'll try to figure out how to get that in this video in the comments or in the description after we finish.
I wonder if it's on the Nikon USA website now.
I didn't see it, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
I did a quick look just to see if it was there, but I couldn't find it. Yeah, Charles, you're absolutely right. Push it to the limit, and at least you know where the limit is. That's absolutely right. Yeah, Hank, it is amazing how far it's come. Now, what do you guys think about all the video features? And we don't have a lot of video shooters in here, I know, but I know some people are oh, you got the button sheet, Moz, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. It may not allow the link or whatever, but we'll figure that out.
Well, I think one big thing that they talked about a lot, but it's a little bit constraining right now because software doesn't handle it. At least most doesn't, unless you have DaVinci Resolve, is the 12-bit NRAW.
Right.
You get the half the file size of the ProRes, but and it shows up and it's available on all the resolution and frame rates that you could shoot at, unlike the ProRes.
Yeah.
But like Final Cut Pro doesn't support it yet. So until these guys catch up, it's nice that it's always one or the other. It used to always be that the software would be ahead of the game before the hardware had to catch up. In this case, it's the other way around.
Well, I think we're moving into the AI era, and so much with AI can be added later. And I know that some of this, not the video features, but there are some things that are AI related. So as cameras continue to develop, that's going to be the case. I think that they can put together the hardware, and the hardware will definitely be simpler than all the firmware that's going to go into it. And I know a lot of folks in the chat understand firmware and how much it takes to actually produce that, perfect it, get it set so that you've worked out all the bugs, or as many as you can find before allowing the updates. So, Edius, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Sith, but Edius does support it. And I saw a video coming out of Asia that was just beautiful with the new video updates. And Mozman, email it to me and I'll make sure that I can get that link specifically to the button sheet in the description so everybody can check it out and download it if they like. Uh-oh. Here comes the man. Here he is. The Hagen.
Hey, good morning.
There he is.
Good morning, sir.
How are you guys?
Good. I don't know if you've been pre-listening, if that's a term, but yeah, we were just talking about who has the update downloaded already and what do they think about it.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
Hey, Tay, that bird behind me, you say looks mean. That's the one I send out after people if they pick on Chuck too much. I make a phone call.
Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, what is that, a 20 by 60?
That's a 20 by 30.
Oh,
20 by 30.
looks big.
Great egret.
Nice.
At sunrise. I mean,
yeah, it's beautiful color in it.
Yeah.
It has more color than I have. Let's put it that way. I don't have a tan yet.
How's it going? Is my mic on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We hear you fine, sir.
Testing.
Yep, we hear you.
What's new, guys?
I don't know, talking about some of the features, seeing if anybody had a chance to play with it. I know it's awfully early to try to get a feel for how all these different new features are going to work. But I was just scanning the audience here and asking if anybody's had a chance to play with it yet. Not everybody's downloaded it like yourself and Jeffrey. I downloaded it last night after we signed off, Vahagen.
Cool. Hello, everyone. What's up? Hey.
It's great you had Simon on the show, Vahagen. He's a good guy.
Yeah, surprisingly, like I didn't really know him that well, but genuine guy, right?
Oh yeah. At least he's fair. I mean, he covers all the different brands, and he doesn't bash anybody, and he does good, fair reviews on everything, and just a straight up kind of guy. I watch his channel quite a bit too, along with you guys.
Mozman, there you go. Absolutely, Mozman. Let him know. So, yeah, Roy was talking about that. So we'll just jump into some of the comments, pull them up here. The pre and post shoot's interesting. Pity it doesn't support RAW. Yeah, I don't know why that is. I have no idea what their limitation was there, Roy. But you know what? Even in JPEG, you know, again, JPEG's fine for me for that, but I know a lot of people are going to be shooting RAW and want the same feature. I have no idea.
I'm sure it's another firmware upgrade down the road. They'll do it because Olympus
Could be.
Olympus has been doing it with RAW files for a long time.
Hey James, how you doing?
You're worried about me for what?
Huh?
Why is he worried about me?
I don't know. I don't know what context that's in now. Who worried about you? I say it. If I said it, who knows why? Oh, one of the things he did say, Charles said, was we're putting out too many of these live streams. He's still trying to catch up on the one from last night.
No, Hank said, hey, we're still worried.
Okay.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm reading the comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Sleeping too late. Oh yeah, maybe when you were on one of the feeds and you were driving in the dark and we saw your hand once in a while and on the steering wheel. Maybe that's what he means, that you were out too late.
Oh.
Not getting enough sleep.
And that's not late. In some countries, they're just getting the party started at midnight.
This is true. This is true.
When I was in South America, you know, like a couple of years ago, they'd go out at 10 p.m. That's when it starts. Yeah,
over in the Middle East, nothing starts. They don't even eat until about 10 p.m.
They sleep all day. They get up at about 1, 2 p.m.
No, they get up early too. It's amazing. Yeah, if you guys missed the show last night on Photography Talk on his channel, it's worth a go back and watch. Yeah, it's long, and I know that I know a lot of people don't like restreaming these live streams. Or I've had a few people tell me I need to cut it down, you know, make it shorter. I don't understand that. You don't have to watch it all. You can skim through after the fact. But you know, for me, the length of the live stream is for the audience. As long as you guys are hanging in here, then I'm going to hang in here. So anyway, it's definitely not doing my algorithm any good, but I don't care because this is fun and I know you guys enjoy it too. So
Well, the thing with that is you have comments, you have questions, you have the phone line. It's hard to cram it all in 50 minutes. And,
Yeah.
so especially with someone like Simon, it was just a free flowing chat, and 1 hour is just, it's tough.
Yeah. Well, and here's Simon. We asked him up front, how long do you have? And his comment was about an hour. And I think that's a safe comment from anybody that comes on a live stream. It kind of gives them the chance to bail out if they're not enjoying themselves. It's the old safety phone call when you were young and you went out on a blind date. Hey, call me at 8 o'clock. If I need to bail, I'm going to have an emergency I have to go to. But as I said, once he was in, then he didn't want to leave, and I think that's testament to how fun and it is to be in the live stream. So
Yeah, right. We were actually talking after the show too, and I finally said, I gotta go.
I think it's great. I appreciate that people do enjoy it. I know you guys do, because there are nights when I'm like, man, I'm dragging, and there's still 20 people in chat that want to talk, and I'm going to hang in there as much as I can. That said, I will be shutting this down at 2 p.m. today, and the reason is I have to drive to Hartford, Connecticut. Ugh, I hate that trip. But I'm picking my brother up who's flying in. He's going to help me with some stuff on the house, so I have to go pick him up.
Good old Bradley International Airport.
Yes. And
I used to work right across the street from the airport, Chuck.
Okay.
At Hamilton.
Okay. All right.
Now it's Raytheon Technologies.
I hate driving up there because I-84 is just a mess in that stretch, particularly that stretch. And it just aggravates me. But anyway, that's why I have to leave at 2. He gets in at 4:30, and I'm leaving at 2 o'clock. That ought to tell you something. Well, soon after 2, I'll be heading out. So,
hey, Jeffrey, nice hat.
Well, what can I say? It stops the shine from blinding people, if I put a hat on.
Hey, Jeffrey. Good to see you, buddy. I'm gonna go back to this comment because I put this in the reminder, and just so you know, I'm not a Blackmagic shooter either, but I have a piece of Blackmagic equipment here. I'm using the A10 Mini Pro now, but for those of you that don't follow Blackmagic at all, other than that DaVinci Resolve is a Blackmagic product. And DaVinci Resolve, man, that has just taken off in the few years since it was launched, and that is a super editing program. Not anything I want to tackle just yet, but for you editing pros, as far as video goes, that is, it is a fantastic product. Also, they have so much hardware. Blackmagic develops so much hardware for anybody that is in the video realm. And if you're doing a lot of collaborating with other creators, they just launched some hardware that is fantastic to be able to collaborate, edit, do everything simultaneously with each other. Oh, hang on, guys.
Here we go.
Here we go. No, this isn't a phone call. I'll be right back. You all carry on.
Hey, Moz man, what's up? Yeah, we had a great time the other day with the Moz.
So how close does he live to you, Vahagan? You guys pretty within a half hour of each other?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
45 minutes. But where we were shooting at, actually he lives about an hour, but where we were shooting at, I was 45 minutes away. He was about 20 minutes away. But beautiful location, You get to meet a lot of people out there. You saw like photographers. I interviewed a couple of guys. That the Larry guy that I had on.
Yeah,
He was a blast,
that
man.
was funny.
He was cool. And if you check out his website, he actually does some good stuff. But you get to meet a lot of people. It's cool. And then the guy with the A1.
Oh yeah.
The guy with the A1 was crazy. He brought out his big gun, When we saw him, right, Maz? We saw him first with the 500 PF and the D4S, and then he ran to his car maybe, and we were leaving, and he's like, "Hey, where are you guys going?" The Korean guy, Jahu. So he's like, "Where are you guys going?" I think he brought that camera just to show off a little bit, He's like, so I was like, okay. I'm like, Maz, we got to stay a little bit, we got to check it out. So, so it was crazy.
I thought you were going to twirl it around like a baton because it was so light.
That thing was light. I mean, let me tell you, I'm not digging the EVF on that. I didn't like the focus point color. It reminded me of a PS4. For some reason, it just reminded me of that whole PlayStation kind of. I know it has nothing to do with photography, but it just reminded the color scheme. I don't know, man. I'm just happy to have a Z9. So, but that being said, I didn't see the files, so I can't talk much about that. I wish, if now that I look back, I wish I could have put a card in there and just shot a couple shots with it, but we were just gassed at that time, like.
I'll tell you, I'm glad I don't have any mic issues anymore. I better not.
All right. Sorry about that. My brother's flying, and, there's 2 missed calls from me. I don't know if I have no idea, but if I have to get up again, I want to make sure he hasn't missed his flight somewhere.
Yeah, Charles, I think he wanted us to check it out. That's why he went to his car to grab it. Or he probably went home to grab it. Because I've seen him at that location a couple times. I don't think he lives too far from there. But great guy. Cool personality. There was a few others that I wanted to interview, but they just didn't want to be on camera. And they're like, "Hey, man, I'm better behind the camera." I'm like, "Oh, no problem."
I liked it when you said rock and roll and he paused and he wasn't sure what you meant.
Oh, yeah. When you tried his camera, did you put your own? No, I wish I did, man. Now that I think about it, I wish I did. So.
Mossman had a comment here about the A1. Throw that up there.
Yeah. Yeah, again, the camera lens was light. I could handhold that thing all day, I'll tell you. $13,000 lens. But it just didn't, my hands and around the camera, it's not going to do it for me, man.
At least it's better. At least it's better than it was, but you get that pinch point between the grip and the lens, where your fingers are getting jammed in there. You can't fit.
Yeah. You could buy a grip for that camera, right? I'm not sure.
Yes, I think you can.
Well, it's just the battery pack, right? I don't think it really it doesn't, I don't know how much it does for the grip, but.
Yeah.
You talking about Kate, I can't remember his name, Jaspreet. Yeah, why would he be even interested in an 800 millimeter lens? I think it's just part of his shtick. He was just making fun of everybody that does anything other than vlogging. Although he doesn't vlog either that I know of, unless he has another channel where he vlogs, but that seems to be his big shtick for his channel, the conspiracy channel or whatever it is. That's Mr. Cripple Hammer.
Yeah, what was that cripple hammer he was talking about? What was that?
So I didn't get that last night. I wish I had followed up with a question when he talked about licensing. I don't know. Does, and crazier things have happened, just like ProRes RAW, you have to be licensed through Red or whatever. So is it to have a cinema line, you have to be licensed from by Canon? I don't know what he meant by that. I don't think that's
Well,
exactly what he meant, because I
I
can't
think
imagine. Go ahead.
I think sometimes when he uses that term talking about Canon, is that when he says the cripple hammer, and I could be wrong here, but I think sometimes he uses it in the context that uh, they don't want to put too much in the hybrid cameras because they do have a cinema line and they don't want to affect the sales of the cinema equipment. So they cripple the, you know, the mirrorless cameras so that they're not as good because they're trying to protect another sales stream that they have coming in from the cinema line. Now, obviously, Nikon doesn't have that problem because they don't have a cinema camera, at least not yet. So they could go full bore and they're not worrying about taking anything away from something else. But I think when he
Right.
says cripple hammer, that's what he's kind of
Well,
partly
no, not the
referring
cripple
to.
hammer part. I get
Yeah,
that, because
yeah.
then it could be an issue where Nikon begins to do that as well. No, he said licensing, and that's the part that caught my attention. And I don't know, I got drug off into looking at a comment or something. Licensing was the key. Let's see. Here's Jess Breed's got a
Street has a
comment.
comment about it.
Yeah. No, I can't keep up, man. You guys are good. You keep that chat rolling, buddy.
He's saying if one has to pay a licensing fee to make cinema cameras, what's the problem? BM able to make affordable cinema cameras too.
So, what is the licensing fee to make a cinema camera? That's the part I don't understand. That's what confused me last night, or I wanted to talk about, and the conversation just drifted on by pretty quick. But how does someone have a patent on a? I can understand your technology, your design of a camera, and everything else, but this goes back to when I can't remember his name, had a patent on carriages. And when the automobiles were first developed, Henry Ford and everybody else had to pay him a patent fee to build a horseless carriage or a car, which was ridiculous, and eventually wound up in court, and he lost. Not Ford, but the person that had the patent. So, is this something that everybody that wants to build a cinema camera has to go through Nikon or Canon to license it?
Yeah, that was a confusing comment.
Am I
I
being
didn't quite
crazy
get that
here?
either.
So I understand the cripple hammer theory, and Nikon could fall into that trap too if they developed a cine line where they're going to save features. But I think that there's enough difference. And he did bring up talking about the features that are in a cine camera that aren't going to be in a hybrid camera, i.e. internal ND filters, external controls and connections like for audio and all the other different features, enough to differentiate it from the hybrid camera. I didn't catch it. I wish I'd asked him. It would have been interesting to hear his response, and if there is a licensing fee that anybody has to pay. So if that's the case, then that means, how does that work? That would mean that Red, Ari, Sony, Panasonic, a lot of different companies would be paying Canon to develop or to market cine cameras. So I don't think that's what he meant. I think that was maybe just something that he said. Let's see. Yeah, because he brought up recording limits too. The recording limits seem to have. Let's see.
Yeah, the Z9 doesn't have any limits.
Right. Well, it does. It has an artificial 2 hour and 5 minute. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the key.
So anybody try their firmware yet?
Yeah, a couple of people had talked about it.
Any issues or hiccups?
Yeah, no one's complained yet.
No issues. I updated last night and I haven't played with it extensively, but yeah, it worked fine after the update. So
anything online?
haven't heard anything, seen anything.
Okay.
Yeah, this Tico Raw, let me put that back up there, Mozman. So that's something that I've talked about, we've talked about in previous streams. And I think that may have something to do too with heat dissipation. If the in RAW, and that's where I guess Tico Raw really steps in, is half the file size, then that means less heating issues. And so maybe that's the secret sauce that Nikon has right now in their RAW.
I think Jasprit is right with the Cine taxes. That's another stupid, tax they just come up with. I mean, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? What does that have to do with taxes and this and that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question for Frame Voyager. I wish he'd drop in and we could ask him about it. But yeah, and you Google it, couldn't find anything. Yeah, interesting.
Oh, Ikank says who's shooting 2 hours? Well, not too many people because they probably can't afford all the card storage that they would need to shoot for 2 hours. Imagine what you would need to shoot AK-60 for 2 hours.
No, I wouldn't shoot 8K. I would probably just shoot 4K.
Well, even 4K, it isn't it's better, but even that 4K, the 4.1K RAW is huge as well, depending on the frame rate.
Well, I mean, forget RAW, forget 8K. I mean, if you're doing just regular 4K, you're capturing a concert. You're not going to be shooting no 8K or RAW in a concert.
That's not what they're talking about, though, Vahagan. They're talking about actually doing cinematic shooting, and that's where all the RAW and everything else comes in. You're right. For the normal us, I don't even need to shoot RAW, honestly.
No.
It looks nice. There may be more detail, but this is where the hybrid camera comes into play. All the Netflix approved cameras and, it doesn't mean anything to us, but there are people that are actually now playing with and not experimenting. They're actually using these hybrid cameras for more cinematic productions. So you're right. I don't need 2 hours. I don't need 2 hours of video straight anyway.
No.
No matter what it is. Filmmakers, Hank's saying, yeah. And they're using these hybrids as B-roll cameras as well that fit into their workflow. So, yeah.
Concerts would be one situation I would do. I would love that. A stationary camera at a wedding, maybe, if you want to just put it in the corner and just record the whole wide shot of the whole ballroom.
Yeah.
That's another way. I just, don't have to worry about going and restarting it every time.
Yeah.
Interviews, maybe, because when we were doing interviews with multiple cameras, before we would have to start, stop.
Yep.
That's a great thing when you're doing a talking head video and it's going long. You don't have to worry about that limit. So, and you're not recording RAW when you're doing talking head stuff. So
no, you're right. And
you could do it. You could just do it in 1080p.
Hey, Moz, man, I'd be interested to see what his, the whole discussion on that. So this guy went back to 1.1 because 3D tracking seemed to be affected. So whatever he noticed, I'm just curious if we'll see if there's multiple comments along that line. And I know you said you haven't really played with it yet either, and neither have I, so I can't speak to the 3D tracking right now in the 2.0 update.
I've lost a lot of
Supposed to
footage.
get changed for the better. Maybe it's changed in a way where he's just not used to it being like that, more than it being a problem. Who knows?
It's an interesting question, Seth. As far as an external recorder goes, the only way you're going to use the 8K RAW in even with an external recorder is if you upgrade to, and the only one I know of, and there have to be so many other cinema companies, I'm sure, have other recorders and there are other things available, but the simplest approach is that Atomos Ninja V Plus, the Ninja 5 Plus, which allows 8K, but I don't know whether it'll allow 8K RAW or not. But well, okay, so that I just thought of something. One of the nice features about, and it comes with the cost, but one of the nice features about the Z9 is the fact that it can all be done in camera. Yes, just as Jeffrey said, you're going to spend some money on some expensive recording media, i.e. CF Express cards, up to 4 terabyte. And I noticed that Simon had a 4 terabyte Angelbird card last night. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, wow.
yes. So I don't even want to know what that card cost.
Well, I think that was a donation, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know what that cost. I don't. Man, can you imagine having to have a pocket full of 4 terabyte CF Express cards? But you can do it in camera with the Z9, and that's what makes it appealing to people that wouldn't necessarily have any interest in the Z9, is that it's in body. So that does make a difference.
Wow, $1,800. Wow.
Is that what it cost? $17.99. Okay, yeah, I can't imagine. I thought it would be more than that. 4 terabyte.
Wow.
But now, let me say that. All right. Be right back. Here he is again.
Wants to make sure you're actually going to get him, Chuck.
Yeah, that's
leave him stranded at the airport all day.
that's almost the price of the Apple Studio. That card.
Oh, that's how much the monitor costs for the Apple Studio. That's
Yeah,
exactly what the monitor costs.
The brain costs $2,000. I would not get that monitor. I'd just get something aftermarket. Like Omar Gonzalez, he bought something else. He didn't go for the monitor. So, but $1,800 for a media card? No thanks. Hell no.
No, and the Angelbirds always run a lot cheaper than, let's say, a Delkin Black or something anyway. So if that's $1,800 for an Angelbird, I'm sure it's a lot more money if you were to get that in a Delkin Black or a pro grade.
Yeah. I'd rather buy a lens for that money.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, when a card comes out with a big storage space, they always mark it up because there are always those people that are going to go, oh, I want to have the 4 terabyte card. But I'd rather just have like a few 512s or a couple of 128s. Those 128s are what? A couple $100.
Yeah, I mean, I am starting to do some video, but I don't shoot for any length of time. It's just a bunch of clips, and I put them together, but I don't need a card that big. I mean, I have 2 365 gig cards in the Z9, and that's more than enough for me right now anyway.
Yep. Yeah, Moz, man. Remember those 8 megabyte cards when digital cameras just came out? Those CF cards, 8 megabytes, 4 megabytes.
I still have some of those, I think, somewhere. They're ridiculously small.
Yeah. You guys remember that Nikon? It was a camera that flipped like this. It was a digital camera, the 995, I think.
Mm.
You guys remember the back in the early 2000s? That was a big
Oh,
hit.
yeah. It rotated. Yeah.
It rotated like this. The 995, I think, 990 something. I forget what the model number exactly, but those are some cool digital cameras.
Oh, remember that when Sony had one, they were recording them on CDs.
Oh
You had
wow,
the big disc that you'd put in the back.
yeah, those are cool cameras. I remember, I think it cost like $1,000 or something. Circuit City.
Good old Circuit City.
Yeah, you think Best Buy's gonna be going down soon?
I don't
Well, I'll
know.
tell you the one
Haven't
where
heard
I
anything.
live, from a photography department. It's not what it used to be. It's a lot of empty shelves, a lot of product not there. I mean, granted, I bought my 105, my new 105 Z lens from them. It showed up. I got it. I couldn't get it from anybody else. So, but not in store. I mean, in store, slim pickings on everything.
It's ridiculous what's going on, guys. We're lucky to have our Z9s because if you look at what's going on with the automobile industry right now, like they have no cars. You show up to a dealer, they have no cars to sell. And if they have one or two, it's like one with like fully loaded options. And they're actually paying you. They want you to sell you your car. They'll pay a premium for your used car right now. So anybody that has a lease that wants to get out of it, don't return your leases. Do not return your leases. If it's time for you to return a lease, go into that same dealership and ask to sell that car. They'll give you 5,000 or 6,000 more than your payoff. A little secret.
Yeah. All the dealers here in South Carolina, all the new car dealers are now used car dealers.
That's crazy. And all the cars are at the ports. You know that, right?
There was a Honda dealer. I bought a Honda, several Hondas over the years down here. They used to sell 500 cars, new cars a month. One dealer, 500 a month. Now he's lucky if he gets 50 new cars a month.
You know, all the cars are they're sitting at the ports. The problem is the chips, they need to assemble a few things on the cars at the ports when it gets here. That's why it's sitting there. It's just line of cars. They just can't get the chips and whatever they need to.
That's interesting, Mozman. Didn't know that. Nikon job postings at Best Buy's hiring Nikon specialists.
Yeah, Jaspreet, but you know what? Tech is getting better and better. Now everyone's coming out with their electric versions. Electric cars are just crazy right now.
Not a fan of electric cars, but I'm not going to get into the politics of all that. So.
60, 70,000 minimum for an electric car.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody, everybody can afford that.
No, and
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's weird because if you need to,
and everybody's got all the facilities they need, and there are plenty of facilities around the country to travel and everything else. No, not buying it. But all right, we're getting off track. Getting away.
I actually
back to the photography.
Talking about Best Buy, looking for Nikon people. I actually had an interview at Best Buy at one time for a part-time, and they offered me a job there, and I had to turn it down because unfortunately, my wife works full-time. The only time I see her really is on weekends, and they wanted me to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. every single week. And I said, I got to have one day off on the weekend. They couldn't do it. So I didn't take the job. But yeah, they're looking for people. Everybody down here is looking for people.
One other thing I'll say about this, Roy mentioned electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla's coming out with a 900-mile range car.
Yep. That I can't afford.
Yeah. So
So
hey, what
let's
do you guys think of the Morton Hilmer and Ricci video? You guys watch that?
Yeah.
With the Land Rover sponsorship there. Cool video. I like the setting, you know.
Hey, Hank, I missed the first part of this, I guess. It feels stickier to me. Are we talking about the firmware update as far as the 3D tracking or something like that?
See, that's awesome. If you can have a dedicated person there capturing you shooting, like Morton and Richie, they had a third person there capturing them doing their thing.
They had the Nikon video team there with them.
Is that what they did?
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
He talked about that up front, that the whole team, he was invited in to shoot with Richie. They had the video team there to capture it all for him, which he was extremely happy about, because that meant he didn't have to worry about editing and all the other things and moving his camera. You know, those guys that make it look effortless, like Bayou Josh, they're always walking past the camera. Well, nobody sees. They have to run back and grab the camera.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. If you're a filmmaker,
The magic of editing.
if you're doing YouTube, that's huge. You know, that's just so much stress off your, you know, what you're doing. You could just concentrate on capturing photos, you know, and that's it.
It's a good question, Michael, and welcome into the show here. I asked that earlier, and maybe somebody else has jumped in that has actually downloaded those firmware updates and can give us an update. I downloaded the firmware update for my Z6 II last night, but I haven't really had a chance to take it and play with it to see what it did. I'm curious, though. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, Moz, man. His videos are actually more captivating than when someone else does it. Here's the phone call again.
Did the audio go out?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm frozen looking at myself on my screen anyway. I don't know if anybody could hear me or not.
No, I can hear you. You're frozen?
Yeah, I'm frozen on my screen.
No, you're not here.
Okay.
So, yeah, are you getting a second Z9?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No. I mean, someday. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get rid of my D850. That just has a spot in my heart.
Yep.
I'm just gonna keep that. I love that camera.
You have a new Mac?
I got the Mac Studio. Yes.
Oh, wow! Congratulations.
I was fighting with trying to set it up during the last live stream with Chuck, and I was having mic problems with the external mic I had hooked up to my iMac. So everybody's commenting that no mic problems now. I'm just using the mic system that's in the Mac Studio monitor. So
congratulations, man.
Nothing special with mics now, which is great.
Yeah.
And then much better camera in terms of, you know, talking to you folks, wider angle, much better than what was on the iMac.
Where's the camera? Is it like
built into the monitor?
Oh, you got the monitor.
Yeah, I'm just using. Yeah, I got the monitor.
You got the monitor and the brain.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, I'll probably be upgrading too because of the rendering speeds. I love that when you're doing video and processing raw files because it takes forever sometimes with the older Macs.
Well, I was editing some raw files last night and then doing some Topaz denoise on them, and it was like snap your fingers, everything was done. I mean, it was crazy. And then I did do my first video as I'm learning Final Cut Pro. I sent Chuck this long download thing. I mean, I found this free site for sending large files, but unfortunately it downloads at a very slow rate, and then people can only view it for 3 days, and then it goes away. But I had no space on my Google Drive, and I had trouble with some app I bought for the Mac in terms of trying to set up a delivery system for large files. That didn't work out too good. So struggling with that. I think I might actually sign up on YouTube and start sharing some videos on YouTube once in a while.
Nice. Yeah, I'd go for it, man. Do it. Start doing some videos.
Yeah, I did like a 30-minute one of my wildlife adventures over the last 5 years. So it ended up being 30 minutes long, kind of a mix of a few short video clips and a lot of still images. And
Is that recent?
yeah, I haven't posted it yet.
I'm like, how come I didn't see it?
No, it's not posted yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
signed up for YouTube, and I'm going to tweak it a little bit more. I mean, like I said, I sent an email to Chuck with a link, but I sent it to my friend. He says he had to wait a half hour for it to download before he could watch it. But
you could upload it and then just keep it private. You could upload it on YouTube and just keep it private. Just send the link to people so they don't have to download it.
Okay.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
You want to jump into your experience with the 24-120?
Sure. Hopefully I'll be able to share the screen. I see the share screen button, but we'll have to see how it works. But before I do that, I mean, I'll just do a 30-second talk about it first.
Okay.
And I will show the lens here. And now when it's in its the closed length is 4.7 inches. When you extend it out to the 120, Nikon doesn't tell you how long it is. I did a rough measurement. It was like 6 7/8 with a tape measure. Don't hold me to that. I might be off 100,000ths of an inch or whatever, but very compact. The focus rings and zoom ring are very I don't know how they're not loose. You know, they have a nice feel to them. They don't spin freely. You know, they just have just the right amount of resistance. I mean, they're really, really nice. And you know, the lens goes for $1,099.95, and obviously, you know, Nikon has tons of lenses that start at the 24mm zoom range. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I'd rather have a 24-70 2.8. Of course, that's $22.99. So you got price is a factor for some people, but you have a 5x zoom range. The pictures I'm going to show you hopefully in a minute or two are street photography pictures. I put my Matt Irwin hat on and did some street photography. Now, some difference between the old F-mount version is it's got 2 stepper motors in it. Now, the old F-mount version had what they called the silent wave motor, and it was only one. So you have 2 stepper motors in this Z lens. Weighs 22.2 ounces. And what's nice is it uses the 77mm filter thread, which if you have a lot of F-mount stuff, you're probably going to have a whole bunch of 77mm lenses laying around.
Yeah, before you get into your pictures, let me just comment on these zoom lenses, and most of them, I think all of them, they extend out like that when you zoom in and out.
Yeah, every single
Right.
brand, every
Well-
single brand extends. There is no such thing as a internal zoom
Well,
for
no,
that
but
range.
the body. Remember the old 2470, the 1635. It would extend, but it was built into the body. Like you don't get that.
Yeah.
I hate that, you know. But it is what it is. Even the
Yeah.
28 is like that, right? The 28,
Yeah.
24 to 70 28 is like that.
Yeah.
What
Same
about
way.
the 1424 28?
That I don't know. I don't have that one.
I think that one is not. I'm not. Don't quote me on that because I don't have
Yeah.
that one.
Now,
But-
one of the best things about this lens too is it's really good for close-up photography.
Mhm.
You can get to within 1.15 feet. You can have it at 24. You could zoom in at 120, and you're still at 1.15 feet away from your subject. So you can get great shots of flowers with bees and butterflies and stuff like that. So you have a reproduction ratio of 0.39 times, which is pretty darn good for a lens that isn't a macro lens, obviously. Now, what I found is the edge-to-edge sharpness, even wide open, is absolutely stellar. I mean, I was shooting with the Z9, FX mode, large files, raw. I looked at the corners, sharp as a tack on all the pictures. And obviously all the Z lenses have the suppressed focus breathing for video shooting. I think it's a great lens for video shooting. And I had no vignetting at f4 at all. So I do have a few cons, but I think I'll talk about them in a little bit. And I'll try to share some of the images.
Now you have the 24 to 70 f4.
Yes.
You have that too.
Well,
So
I have the 24 to 72.8 in the F mount, and I've got the new 24 120.
okay, I was going to ask you regarding the Z 2470 f4 if you see a difference.
No, I don't have.
Because that 24 to 70 f4 is gold, man. For the price, pick
Well, I
one
mean,
up.
that's what I got is the Z mount 24 to 70, 24 to 120, but not the 24 to 70.
Yeah.
It's
No.
great.
Yeah.
All
I would
right.
love to have that more range.
Well, let's see what it looks like, Mr. Jeffrey.
Especially when you're doing
Yeah.
weddings.
I click on let's see, I click on it says observe the screen, and it's not doing anything.
Perfect wedding lens, Chuck.
Ah. Okay,
All
here
around.
we are.
I just have to flip the switch here, Jeffrey.
Okay. Can you guys see the picture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I've got 19 images. I'll go through them quick. I don't want to. This is Chuck's show, not mine.
Well,
But this
hey, Jeffrey, hang on a
Yeah.
second. Do this. Go full frame on each photo that you bring up. Just hit the green. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody welcome James in. He's in here with us.
What's up, James?
Hello, guys. Mic check.
Yep, you're working.
Fantastic.
Okay, everybody can see it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is in Conway, South Carolina, and if you go downtown Conway, which from where I live in Myrtle Beach is about 30 minutes or less, depending on traffic, there are beautiful hand-painted murals on a lot of the businesses downtown. I mean, absolutely stunning. So a lot of these images you're going to see in the beginning here, they're being shot at f4. And this particular one's 76 millimeter focal length, ISO 280, 1/100th of a second. So obviously you don't have ER in these lenses, so you're using the IBIS in the camera. 1/100th was not a problem at all. Made sure I was there with Bob Our Photos, my friend Bob, and we went downtown and got there early enough to make sure we were able to get this shot before all the cars pulled into the parking lot. This is a corner store. It's really nice. Reminds you of probably like the downtowns that a lot of us grew up in, if you're old enough. If you're in your 60s or whatever, you remember what downtown was when you were like 8 years old, and it might have looked a lot like this. But these images are, this was probably within, started taking these probably a half an hour after the sun came up. So you'll see some areas where the sun, you're going to get, the sun gets more predominant. And here they got a nice clock downtown that has a clock face on all four sides, which is kind of neat. Now here I intentionally focused on, this is wide open at f4, focusing on the 2-hour parking sign, letting everything blur out in the background, just so you get an idea of what the bokeh would look like. This is an alleyway. I just sharing one side of the alley, which was called Teal Alley. And this was done by a group of students at Coastal Carolina University. You can see the CCU there on the side. And then they have the Chanticleer, which is a type of rooster, is their mascot. And street photography is street photography. So this is a wall on a building that's opposite of a restaurant, and garbage cans are always there, but you know, you try to pretty it up, I guess, as best you can.
Well, not regarding, you know, all the whatever. I mean, what do you think of the lens in these photos? We can see it, but it's, you know, kind of hard to tell as you shot these.
Yeah, the lens is even wide open. The lens is tack sharp. I mean, I took some shots at f8, and I don't really feel I had to. I mean, at f4, it's fantastic. Now, from a bokeh point of view, I like taking, I'll just flip through these as we talk. This I took at f8 because, you know, I wanted to make sure the chairs were in focus, that mural on the building was in focus, and
okay,
it's just a phenomenal lens.
So, what picture mode are you shooting in here? Is this standard, or did you edit? Or
I did minor editing in Lightroom, very little cropping. I did no noise reduction. I did not run any of these files through Topaz at all. These were all shot raw. These were all raw, large files.
Okay, that was on your Z9.
On the Z9, yeah. And
color's vibrant, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and the work these people did is fantastic. Now this one was a shot where I just wanted to show how sharp everything is. You look at the signs, and you can't really see the last one, but there's 4 signs hanging there off the brick, and you know, 3 of them you can see how sharp it is. I mean, it's just really something special, this lens. I mean, I really liked it a lot. I mean, I didn't have a model, so I couldn't take a portrait per se of a person, you know, 3 or 4 feet away from a busy background to see how it would blur it out. But I do have a few shots at the end where I try to show what it might look like. Figured I'd take a church because it isn't very often you get a church where you don't have like a dozen power lines going across it. So it was really nice to see a building with no distractions.
So which picture mode are you in here? Are you shooting in portrait, standard, vibrant, or what?
I'm not in any picture mode because I'm shooting raw.
Well, yeah, you still are, and that's kind of an old fallacy. You think raw is raw, but it's using that profile that's set in camera unless you're shooting flat.
Well, what you're seeing is a file that I outputted. You know, I have my own presets that I apply when my raw file comes in, and then these are all actually files that I exported as JPEGs. So they're high quality JPEGs, and they're sized for if I was going to print them out at 300 DPI as an 8x12. So all these pictures were saved that way.
Okay, but even in RAW is capturing whatever the camera's picture profile is. You're just getting more information. It's not a flat image because it's RAW. You have to shoot in flat to get flat.
Well, I just have whatever the standard setup is. I think I have vibrance up, maybe a saturation up slightly. And other than that, I have not programmed any picture modes at all.
Well, you have to be in one, Jeffrey, whatever it is, whether it's flat, vibrant, standard, or whatever. I just wondered what you have set in the camera right now for the picture profile.
I would have it at vibrant.
Okay. There you go.
Do you have a picture of you taking a wide shot and then zooming in all the way to 120 at the same position?
Yeah, at the very end.
Okay.
And they're not very good pictures. They were just to kind of show the difference in the bokeh. You know, I'll skip through these, but that just made me laugh. You know, either a kid is crying right now because doesn't know where his teddy bear is, or he did it on purpose. I don't know. And this was a shot underneath the bridge. I like the shadows and the light and the lights lighting up the street, the sidewalk and whatnot. I thought that was kind of neat. Okay, here's the last two. So in this case, I'm about 5 feet away from that hanging plant. So I'm focusing on the flowers on the plant, and this is at 24 millimeters at f4. So the palm trees that are behind the planter there are roughly about 4 to 5 feet behind it. So wide open at 24 millimeters. Obviously, you got pretty good depth of field. You don't have a lot of defocusing here. Stood in the same spot. Zoom to 120. Now you can see everything. The bokeh, you know, that you would see if you were, say, shooting more at a portrait range, you know, 120 millimeters, wide open. If you had your subject about, you know, 4 feet, I'd say at least 4 or 5 feet away from a busy background, you'd probably get pretty pleasing bokeh. But I didn't have a model with me, and that wasn't the, you know, what I was shooting today. So I can only just give you an opinion on that. And I would have liked to have tried this lens out as a close focus lens, and maybe that's something I'll do later on and talk about that a little more at another time.
That's not bad for the out of focus area there, the bokeh in the background, considering that the palm trees aren't that far away from the plant. So if you can, you know, if you were shooting and wanted a more pleasing bokeh, obviously extending the distance between the subject and the background would probably melt it even more. That's pretty nice, actually.
Yeah. But let me get out of here. See if I go back to normal screen here.
Thanks for sharing, Jeffrey.
But I say that what I had for cons. Well, I clicked on stop sharing the screen, but it hasn't. Okay, there we go. The only cons, and some of this is just so I know what people would think. A lot of people are going to say, it's not a 2.8 lens. Why would I want it? I'm losing a stop of light. Well, I have no regrets buying it. And for the price point, I mean, $1,099 to me, it's a steal. It's a phenomenal lens. No VR, but then again, you don't get VR with a 24 to 70 Z mount either. So you're just using the IBIS and the camera. Now, as you said, Vahagan, a lot of people don't like it when the lens barrels extend because you worry about dust and water, and you zoom back in and it might get pulled into the lens. Nikon, the only thing they say is it has robust weather sealing, which we'll see. We'll see how that holds up. And
I rather buy this lens than the 28 to 70
5
75.
Right?
I rather buy this
25.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and of course the other con, I guess, would be a con is people are going to say, well, I'd rather buy if I'm doing portraits, I want a 1.2 to 1.8 lens, but you got to compare apples to apples. I mean, this is a different lens for a different purpose, and you can get good portrait shots with it, I'm sure, but you're not going to go and compare it to a 1.2 lens. I mean, it's not really a fair comparison. And when I say it's not a traditional portrait lens, but nowadays I'm confused by, tell me, what is a traditional portrait lens? You got Matt Irwin taking portraits with an 800 millimeter lens and he took portraits. So
Yes.
it's like, where do we draw the line at what a portrait lens really is? Is it you're capturing a portrait, or it has to be a certain millimeter lens? But I would recommend this lens to anybody in a heartbeat, and I think they really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, you can guide somebody to a good lens to shoot portraits. 70-200, 85, 50.
Yeah.
What's up, James?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello, and nice to see you again.
How you doing,
right.
James?
Doing good, Chuck. Yeah, I had the day off, so I figured, hey, let's join the fun.
Yes, sir. Yeah, your question about who's downloaded the updates or not? There are a few that have, few that haven't. I did, but I haven't had a chance to test the new updates.
Yeah, it's sitting on here. Maybe I'll give it a day or two.
Well, I didn't have any. It didn't brick the camera. I don't know what we could expect more or what we're waiting for. Maybe, it's got a delayed bug or something that's going to brick the camera or whatever for waiting to upload it. I don't think Nikon's going to recall this firmware update and then say, okay, here comes 2.1. If anything, there will be a follow-up update if there's something else they want to add immediately. But I don't think there's any trouble with it. At least that's, but if you have no reason to update right now, then that's fine too.
Yeah, I'm sure they've been testing it for weeks. You don't just release something and pray.
No, you're absolutely right.
Now, the one feature I'm looking forward to is the one button that completely switches your settings. So you could program it to, I don't know what it's called. So if you're shooting birds in flight, you could come over, grab the button, and it automatically switches and lowers the shutter speed and the f-stop so that you could move over to the still shots.
I'm not familiar with that. I haven't seen that demonstrated or anything else.
Yeah, I got.
Oh, is that what they're calling toggle between camera settings using the recall shooting?
That must be it. Yeah, instead of holding the function and spinning the wheel, I guess you could program one of the buttons and it'll automatically flip over to your other settings.
Yeah, you could press it and it'll be in one mode, and you can take your hand off the button, and then when you push it again, then it goes back to what it was before.
Yeah. Very handy.
Well, I knew it was preliminary to ask if what everybody thought of the update and everything else, because for most of us, it's just a matter of some have downloaded it and what we already know based on other people talking about this update, but no real testing by anybody, at least in the chat here today. That's going to come. That's going to come in, over the next couple of weeks. We're going to hear a lot about what people have found out with this new firmware. But I mean, to be honest, on the photography side, yes, the big thing is going to be playing with the ability to capture, multiple capture development in camera. And what else? Pre and post release shooting. I'm sure people will be commenting on that. What else really on the oh, daggone it. On the photo side, I don't know that there's going to be a lot other than talking about how much better or worse or same the AF is, because the big update here was the video update, really.
Right.
Not that the other features aren't welcome and good, but the primary focus was on that video update in this.
Yeah, it's funny. Trying to think of this, drawing a blank now. Brother. Trying to think of who it was. There was a 6-minute video that I watched this morning where there was a demo on that new motion blend feature.
Yeah, that was
Mac Ranger.
Yeah.
And that was pretty interesting, because I wrote back to him. I says, well, that might be neat. You know, if you had your camera on a tripod, you're shooting birds, you got your 3D tracking going, and you happen to catch the bird flying in, let's say from the right side of the frame and landing, you know, in the water, and you can capture all those images and then put it together in one file. That would be a neat image. You know, not that you can't do it in Photoshop, but I myself am not a Photoshop expert by any means. I mean, I'm pretty darn good with Lightroom, but Photoshop is like, no, not there yet.
Yeah, Jaspreet, I caught your comment there, and you're right. I think that's changing though, brother. Just hang on, because I think that's changing quite a bit. That you're going to see a lot more video shooters in the Nikon world. Nikon's for all of us old farts. I mean, honestly,
you're working on that backdrop.
Yes, yeah. I mean, at least it's more cluttered and a little bit more what I'm shooting at, and looks a little better, I think. You don't have to wonder what's behind curtain number 1.
You guys know the price of that Nikon card?
It was over $600.
Yeah.
It was kind of a ripoff, I think.
600. So $1 per gigabyte.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I can't see anybody running out and buying it.
Anybody going to NAB in Vegas? Nope.
Not I would love to, but I won't be.
It's 23rd through the 27th, I think. It's like this week.
Guess we'll have to watch the YouTube videos of that one.
Yeah, NAB.
I think next year we'll be more back to normal. Not that we aren't moving that way already, but next year there will be a lot more participation at all of these events that are, that we miss.
Yeah, I was off a little, more than $600, $780. Mazman.
Wow.
Said. Oh, that's even more disgusting.
Dude, I have that. Roy said Manfrotto's rebranding. I was using the Manfrotto card. Awesome, fast card. Great card. That's a lot of money for a card, though, man.
So somebody asked, this is the newer gimbal. It's about $170. It's rock solid, carbon fiber. But even more impressive is this Artsy tripod for $200. You cannot beat it. It's beast.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a reasonably priced combo, no doubt about it.
$350 for that. Perfect.
Yeah, it's rock solid.
So Maz, you going to DC? You guys should meet up. You're in DC, right?
Around here somewhere too.
Yeah, Mazman, if you're going to be in North Carolina, you can get my email from Chuck, and we could talk. And I'd love to shoot with you. You can come down to South Carolina and hang out for a day or two, or whatever you want to do. And I'll take you down here where all the birds are right now on strike.
But you guys got to make a video out of it, though.
Yeah,
So we
we
can see it, right, Chuck?
That's right.
Yeah, collaboration YouTube videos. That's great.
There you go. This is what we were talking about, Vahagan. I mean, based on the card reader is almost an exact copy of the Delkin card reader, the Manfrotto. So I'm sure they've contracted through through Delkin to rebrand. So the card looks like a copy of the Delkin as well.
Yeah, whatever. It works.
Yeah.
I love that card reader. Solid.
There you go, James, from Charles.
Yep, coming up.
Let's see.
Man, Chuck, you must be a little, not nervous, but like antsy, huh? I hate driving to the airport.
Oh, man. That and the fact that, I won't bore you all with all that. That's all the phone calls. Had to get his boarding passes for him again. He was en route, blah, blah, blah. My brother. He can fix an air conditioner blindfolded. He's a heat and air or an HVAC guy, but common sense doesn't exist.
Is he older or younger than you?
Younger.
Okay.
2 years younger. Mike's asking, Mike, you just got here. We hadn't even considered we forgot to talk about the firmware. I'm just busting your chops, Mike. It's been the entire time pretty much, other than Jeffrey showed us the new 24 to 120. But yeah, there's nobody has any feedback yet for it. Several people have downloaded it, but haven't had a chance to really exercise it. As you can imagine, work day to day, came out last night, that kind of thing.
Matt Granger did a video on the pre-capture.
Yep.
And it looks good. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, you read the comments, there are already people chopping into it. Just, I see artifacts and I see this and that. Okay, man, it's in the camera. Are you doing that professionally anyway? Come on. Just like the feature and then, move on.
Those are the same people that have their iPhones and they're sitting there changing the focus from one person to the next and doing all these crazy, putting a banana on their nose and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and Vahagan's convinced me I got to put out some videos, short videos, and he brought up all kinds of ideas, but he mentioned rant, and I thought, bingo. So there you go. Those are my rants. I'm gonna have to put those up in little 5-minute videos. Pixel peepers, tech togs, and purists. All those 3 in one rant video because all of them are annoying.
Well, Chuck, you do like a top 10, like David Letterman used to do.
Yeah.
You go, here are the top 10 things that blank me off.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, I've already downloaded and installed it, but I haven't had a chance to shoot it. I mean, I'm scrambling here. If you just joined, you haven't seen me run away from the stream to answer phone calls, and I won't go into all that. But anyway, I think maybe tomorrow by Saturday night for me or anybody else, you're going to see all kinds of videos come up about, what their people's experiences are with the updates. I'm curious to see the updates with the video. Honestly, I want to see some creators post some great content about the video updates, not the updates, but actual content showing it in use, because that's the big thing we need right now on the Nikon side is we need more video creators. I'm on line with that. I think that's what we need to see, because that's what's going to help sell these cameras and move people back to Nikon. So, yeah, nobody's really into video. You're right, Jasper, but we're working on it, man. Hang in there with me, brother. We're working on it. We're going to fix that. We're definitely going to
Hey,
fix them.
I try to put video as much as I can on my reviews.
You do. It's one little switch away.
Yeah.
Boom, you're in video mode.
Yeah, and I
I'm
think
trying.
yeah, I think we're talking about more cinematic type video, and that's all possible with what we have now with Nikon, and you just don't see much of it. You know, that cinematic creative content. And we've talked about it. We beat that dead horse till there's no horse. We don't even have a rope anymore. We beat it off the rope, beat the rope to pieces. But I'm going to continue to do that because I think that's the next step for Nikon and their success. Yeah, I'd like to see some younger creators, man. I'd like to see somebody under 40, you know, with
Aren't
a
we under
Nikon
40?
in their hand. Huh?
Aren't we under 40?
Yeah. I am until I try to get up after bending down or something. Then I'm definitely not under 40 anymore. Yeah, next Nikon bodies. That's a subject I'm willing to talk about for hours on end.
The special edition looks good on there.
What's that?
The 28 SE.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
How do you like it?
you must like that. They say that's a very good lens for what, $300?
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's on sale now for $249, by the way.
Yeah, I use that lens. Mossman has it. It's a good lens.
David's working on an Aurora presentation that he's going to give us too. Don't time to update the Z9. PETA might come knocking. What did I say about animals? No telling with me. But then again, I'm not woke, so.
Oh, you look awake to me, Chuck.
Huh?
You look awake to me.
I'm a little perturbed. I shouldn't be. We're in the middle of a live stream. I'm just perturbed over, you know, everything happens at once, and it's really my fault on the timing with my brother coming in. But anyway, it's aggravating.
Charles, I think the $249 price that Chuck was talking about is on the non-SE version of that lens. I think the SE version is still around $300, but the non-SE version that doesn't have that chrome ring around it or whatever is the one that's
yeah, it's on. Go to Nikon USA, and they just sent me a thing saying that, you know, 3 lenses are on sale right now at Nikon USA. I'm sure they are everywhere else as well. And the 28 and the 40 millimeter were $249, and the 28 to 75 was $999. I know a lot of people
you got to wonder why you're putting on sale that 28 to 75 so early in the game.
You know, and I know everybody's been picking on it, but I tell you what, I've watched a lot of the videos on that lens, and it was a lens that I was actually curious about. A 2.8, 28 to 75. You know, that's not too far off for me. I've got plenty of 24 millimeter lenses around here now. Lord, I've got those, you know, everywhere.
Did you buy it?
No, I haven't yet, but I was considering it, you know. So here are the complaints, and everybody likes to pick on it and say, well, it's soft in the corners. Don't care. I don't shoot corners. Joke there.
You never know who's coming around the corner, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at it for, you know, all around lens, 2.8 and a portrait lens, but I'm still holding out and waiting rather than get it. Although, you know, I think it's a decent lens, and no, it's not a completely just scrape off Tamron and use a paint pen to put on Nikon lens. You know, Nikon put their tweaks and a little secret sauce in it. So Nikon made the glass for it. So there you go.
It's a Nikon lens.
It's a Nikon lens. Okay. And I'm not trying to support it and convince anybody to buy it, but, you know, a lot of people just, again, well, no, I don't want it. Why don't you want it? Well, first of all, it's 28. Okay. I can't argue with that. It is. and I don't need 75. 70's fine. Oh, really? That's an issue. Don't need 75 and don't need 5 extra millimeter focal length. I mean, and can't have it in the lens either.
Yeah.
That's why we have choices.
I'm with David here. I'm with David. Get the 24 to 120 instead.
I am too. I want that too, though, Vaughan. I want all of them. I want all the lenses. But I'm looking at the 2.8. That's all I was looking at. And for somebody, $9.99 is not a bad price for a lens that is as good as it is. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, you have the money or whatever. I'd prefer to have the 24 to 70 2.8 Nikon, the S mount, the S lens. But for $1,200 less for somebody that wants a 2.8 in that general focal range, since it's not exactly 24 to 70, that's not a bad lens.
Might as well go for the 200, 24 to 200.
No, I wasn't ever interested in that, but a lot of people love that lens. How about you, James?
It's amazing. I mean,
there you go.
I have the 24 to 70. Well, I wanted something more travel. So one lens is on there. It covers a lot.
Hello.
Charles, no difference in the lenses other than one is dressed up a little more.
Yeah,
like the ZFC.
We're talking about your lens, but the 28 to 75 versus the 24 to 120.
It's David Stewart, by the way, folks. Go
Hey,
ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And this gets down to, is a third of a stop too much, or is the whole stop too much? And like what I did for my mirrorless system is I went all the f4 glass, and except for my 24 millimeter, it's 1.8, because I still have my F mount glass, which is all 2.8. And I've been checking to see how often that I use 2.8 versus 4. And I don't use f2.8 often enough on my 14 to 24 or my 24 to 70 or my 70 to 200 to justify buying the 2.8 glass and the Z mount.
No,
so that is my thinking.
You're absolutely right, David. Here's the thing, it depends on what you want the lenses for. Can you compromise? In other words, if I want, let's use the 800 for an example. If I want 800 millimeter, is it worth compromising that third of a stop for the new one versus the old 5.6? In my opinion, yes, but this is all opinions. Everybody has to make a decision themselves. The only thing that I disagreed with a lot of people talking about the 28 to 75 is it was, it's no good, without any quantifying results. It's no good, No, it's not the Nikon 24 to 70. Absolutely. Not going to argue that point at all, but 2.8 versus f4, you need that general focal range, and you need it for lower light or whatever, or even more bokeh or out of focus area for what you do with the lens. Then there's nothing wrong with it. And by the way, it's $1,200 cheaper than the Nikon version. And maybe you don't have the extra $1,200 to buy the Nikon. So that's what I'm talking about. No, it's not going to compare to the Nikon version, but is it a workaround for somebody that doesn't have a lot of money in their pocket? Absolutely. I believe it is.
That's why we have lots of choices.
Yeah. And if you use Camera Raw as for your front end for Photoshop, which actually comes with Lightroom, as part of it, you can actually check to see what focal lengths there are, f-stops, and all the rest of the stuff that you've been using on an album. And that's what I'm starting to use for when I go to purchase a lens. Because if I find that I'm using a certain range a lot, and I find that, I get the idea in my mind, which is normally wrong, is that I need something in that focal length of that f-stop, and I can justify it using camera raw because it says that I'm using that a lot, and I will try to improve that. But I think but this is not a selling point for camera raw, but it's something that is a nice to have, and that is what I use. But when I bought my Z mount glass, and because the money at the time was not the option, it had to do with a combination of weight, because I'm going to carry it around, I'm going to use it for traveling, and do I actually need the one stop? And I figured no.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, I
Yeah.
I agree. But see, that's just it. I think it's tough to really review a lens and say it's bad. There are cases where lenses are just bad. They're no good, stay away from it. It's very soft throughout the frame and, whatever. I get that. But if it performs, if we're trying to compare and say, don't buy it because it's not as good as the, in this case, the 28-75 is not as good as the 24-70 2.8 S lens. I think that's an unfair comparison. I think it's a good lens. It's not as good as the S version. And if you can afford the S version, then by all means get the S version. And I think we jumped, and I did too. I'm not going to lie. I did too. I thought, rebrand of Tamron, because everybody was showing all the schematics and everything and how they were so similar. Well, guess what's different? The mount. And if the mount's different, that means that the internals are different. Okay. It is a Nikon lens. And I'm not trying to, take up for it, but I've just heard a lot of people say, it's no good. If you can't afford the S lens, and I would suggest that you buy that over this 28-75, if you can't afford the 24-70 2.8 S, then consider this lens. Save yourself some money, or maybe you're not even saving money. All the money you have, you would spend on just the 28-75. Then by all means, don't worry about what everybody else says. Listen to some of the people that have shot with it. One, and I think it was a very fair review, and not just a boost Mr. Photo Me Ike here, but he did a review of the lens. He was honest about it. Yeah, it's a little softer in the corners, but depending on what you're going to use it for, it may be the best fit for you. It's not a bad lens. It's just not as good. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
As everybody's use case is different. Everybody's budget's different. That's why you have so many options. I mean, there's no wrong answer.
Use what you have.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
You won't go wrong with any one of those lenses. They're all great.
Yeah. If it's a Z mount lens, then it's a good lens. I haven't seen any Z mount lenses yet that were bad. Have you guys?
No, but I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
What is the best bang for the buck Z lens right now, in your opinion? That's a must.
Multi-purpose.
It depends on what kind of lens that you're looking for.
Fixed focal length or
prime, yeah, fixed.
Prime.
What's a must lens that's just cheap and amazing?
Oh, not cheap.
What's that?
The 105.
Well,
I have that.
the cheap would be that 28 2.8.
Okay, it's S though. It's S lens. So
I'm with Mozman, the 51.8, because I have it.
51.8, exactly. The 51.8 is a must lens. Sharp, cheap. You can buy that for even used for $300-$400. Best, awesome lens.
And Roy, I'm not going to disagree with you. The 40mm 2.8 is the best and cheapest lens there is for those that are shooting in at 40mm or whatever. I agree.
Hey James, I love that 105. I just got it.
It's I mean, it's so good. I mean, it's tack sharp at the macro. I mean, it's amazing lens.
Can't wait
Yeah.
to use it.
Now, have you tried doing portraits with it?
Not yet.
No, I'm not really a portrait guy. I'm either very short focal length or very long focal length.
But I will. You know what? You gave me a good idea. I'm going to
Yeah.
do portraits with that 105Z, and I'm going to bring the 105 1.4 and just do portraits with both lenses and see.
And you know, the only difference you probably see, Vahagan, is when you're shooting at different apertures. You know, obviously you're only going to, you're talking, well, even at 2.8, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're buying the 105 for that 1.4 aperture.
Yeah.
And until I don't think there may be a bit of difference, but not enough to drive you to buy one over the other, unless you're using that extra depth of field, that larger aperture for some other reason. And that's why I'm waiting on the 85 1.2 instead of the 85 1.8. Is the 85 1.8 okay? Absolutely. It's a great lens too, but
Yes, it is.
the 1.2 may give me more creative opportunity. That's all.
Yeah.
I think all the glass that Nikon's making right now, as far as sharpness goes, come on. It's all off the chart.
Yeah, I kind of smile when there's
Well,
people complaining that the lenses are too sharp.
Yeah.
I'll never complain that a lens is too sharp.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, last night Simon was complaining about the 4K video, and that if he shoots that on his face, he's going to have to start using makeup, and that is getting to be a problem.
Yeah.
But Hagen, when you're doing your testing with your 105, try the 24 to 120 as part of the test.
Oh, I don't have that
so
lens.
Then you have a test with 3. Yeah, and then because for me that's my go-to lens on my Z9, and it's not as if it's the only lens I have, because when it comes to f mounts, I got a lot, and I've got 4 Z mount lenses. But anyway, that's just my opinion, and I'm going to let you 4 guys go. And Jeff, I do like your new camera there. It does take the sheen off your head, but it puts this yellow thing in the middle. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's something to do with your hat. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. And your pictures were great. But anyway, I'm going to let you 4 guys go and have a good day.
All right, David. Thanks for calling, man.
Take care.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I might have to borrow that lens if you want to see that comparison. But I don't know. We'll see.
I like the F4 lenses, and I've got them. I've got the 24 to 70 F4. I love it. Would I like to have 2.8 at times? You betcha I would. But, you know, I bought it. I bought the kit price when I got the Z6. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic lens. Now, shooting portraits in studio, do you need a 1.2 lens? No. You're probably not always, but often you're shooting at 5.6 or higher anyway. So then the only difference would be the character of the lens. If there's no specific character to a 2.8 lens or a 1.2 lens, then, you know, that's why I'm waiting on the 85. Let's see what it does. I do love that 51.2 from what I've seen.
Yeah.
You know,
Chuck, the question is, Chuck, is it the character of the lens or the character holding the lens?
It's often both. But, you know, if a lens exhibits some specific characteristic, which I always thought the old 70 to 200 until all the newer lenses came out, it had its own character. The 85 1.4 G lens that everybody loved until the 105 came out, it had its own character. And now the 105 has its seemingly different character. And you go back into Nikon lens history, there's so many old lenses that you'll hear a lot of the folks talk about. You just can't achieve this whatever with any other lens. And I think that's why people fall in love with lenses that happen to collect more than just what they can afford.
Yep.
Look at
You
that.
know?
Back there.
Yep. I
There's
know,
a
man.
lot of gear.
I've got a ton. I've got a bunch of F mount lenses over there, which I've got to get rid of here before long. Vahagan beat me to the punch on it by moving his on down the road, and I need to do the same thing because I'm all in for the mirrorless now. As much as I'd like to have a giant Nikon collection, I can't afford to do that. So
So if you do decide to do that, are you going to let us know what you're selling first?
oh, absolutely.
Hagen might want to buy back one of the ones he sold that he
No, I might see something that he has that I might be interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows, the 200 f2, it's still got a place in my heart. It's not a lens you shoot every day. But man, when you shoot it, you just love the results. That's one of the lenses that I love.
A lot of glass on that one.
Yeah, it is. And it's heavy, but yeah, my 400 2.8 may be going pretty soon though. I'm just, I don't know. I got to do something. I got to force myself into it. I've got to buy some new long prime glass. It won't be the 400 2.8. That's for certain.
Hey, Chuck, do you know that guy I think he's from Britain. He wears his rock t-shirts.
Yeah.
You sent me an email about him.
Yeah.
Someone sent him the 400Z.
Yeah. I saw that this morning.
You saw that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, it is.
He has a good connection.
Absolutely, he does. So, yeah, he got it for a couple of days to play with. I think he was saying he's doing two videos on it. The first part he released today, and he's going to release it. And Sean Cameron.
I should send that video to Josh. He'd get.
Yeah.
I just saw a friend of mine shooting with his brand new 400 the other day.
Oh,
it was
man.
funny. I stayed there, my friend Bob, and I stayed there for about 3 hours. And he came in with that lens, and he shot for about 20 minutes and left.
Yeah.
I spent that much on a lens. I think I'd be staying there all day.
Yeah. You know what? We're seeing a few more of those lenses all of a sudden. It's been kind of quiet. Nobody's talked about it, but they're popping up in quite a few places. So that's a good sign.
Yeah. I'm sure Josh is chomping at the bit waiting for his, no doubt.
Yeah, James, I want the 70 to 200 also. I'm just trying to figure out how I go about building my new lens collection, the Z mount. Over the years, I'd picked up everything I wanted in F mount, but now I got to turn around and start over again, but I don't care. Hey guys, I got to go. I hate to go. And thank you, Charles, for throwing the reminder up there. I'm already over time. Sorry about all the interruptions today, but Saturday night we'll try it again. The drill. Wednesday afternoon, 12 noon until whenever. Today just has to be shorter. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern until whenever. I hope to see you guys Saturday night. Those that are in here now, bring a friend. It's free. Anybody got anything going on that they want to announce right now? What's coming up? Anything we don't want to miss?
No, but we'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, brother. All
Remember
right.
that video I told you about?
Yep.
I'm having second thoughts, but I'll let you know about it.
Okay. All right.
I'll let you know about it. Why?
All right, man. No problem. All right. Hey, thanks, folks. Great session, James. Thanks, man. You're going to have to join us earlier. So, I put the invitation out to quite a few people, and I always wind up starting this myself. So if any of you guys want to be in one of these on a Wednesday or a Saturday, then shoot me an email or leave a comment in the comments after this rolls over to a video in YouTube, so I can get in touch with you sooner and make sure everybody has the link. So anyway, got to run. Thanks again. God bless y'all. I'll see you Saturday night. And if not sooner, you never know. Vahagan and I might just on a spur decide one night, we're going to jump in and do a live stream and just see how many people show up impromptu. You never know.
That's cool.
All right.
Guys.
Thank
Chuck,
you all.
Chuck, call me when you're tonight. Call me tonight.
Absolutely. I'll give you a call when I'm heading up to the airport. I'll have nothing else to do.
All right, sounds good.
All right. All right, folks. Thanks again. Thank you, Jeffrey, for showing us the 24 to 120. Sorry I was in such a hurry, but
No problem. Thanks, guys.
but I already saw somebody say they're looking at it, so there you go.
Hey,
Have fun,
Chuck,
Mom.
send Jeff my email.
Send Jeff my email. I will indeed. We'll just go ahead and tell him. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. See you guys later.
Right.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right. Hey, like and subscribe before you go.